Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I want to talk about what I think is probably coming and coming very, very soon to raid Shadow Legends. A new type of champion. I think we are due for a new type of champion, or certainly a new take on a current type of champion. Well, first of all, let's ask why. Why do I think this is going to be coming soon? Well, first of all, Mythicals have been out now for a while. Mythicals are here. We know certainly they'll almost definitely do Void Mythicals at some point, but they've talked about that still being pretty far away. I think we could still do with more normal Mythicals. I think we could still do with more ways to get normal Mythicals. So I think that they are here to stay, and that's fine. But we've also had a new champion type that is now probably done, which are the Faction Unity Champions. These were, again, a new big type of champion that were released slowly and steadily. An exciting champion for people to chase that would synergize with their faction. We have one for every single faction now. So yeah, it's been a while in Raid. Mythicals have been around for a while now. Faction Unity, we've kind of got them all. I'm sure we'll get one more for the new Atlantean-looking faction that's coming early next year. But yeah, I don't think they'll do more. They could, but I don't think so. We need something new. I think that the end of this year is sort of the perfect time to do it. Obviously, we're going to have the Halloween fusion starting during the week, and we're going to, obviously have a bunch of Halloween content in the game. We also have, of course, the Turtles coming to an end. Not a third of the way, quarter of the way through November or so. I think end of November. We are due. It's been a long time. Let me bring it up. It's been a long time. Hang on here. If we look at it's recommending me my own video. Why are you doing that? I don't want to watch it. I made it. That's enough. But yeah, we had What's Next in Raid. Episode 8 was 10 months ago. Episode 9, What's Next in Raid, was 6 months ago. There was only 4 months between these. It has been 6 months since our last What's Next in Raid. And if I open this up, and if we just do a quick flick through it, Faction Wars Hard Mode, that's the big thing here. Faction Wars Hard. Update to Siege, that has happened. Leaderboards, that has happened. Community Weeks, oh my god, that happened months ago with Udex Artor. And some upcoming champions even. Let's have a look. Yeah, so these are like some Chaos Awakes champions. There was a teaser for Crowcad. Like, this stuff, it's months old at this point. It's been so long. We are really, really due What's Next in Raid video. I am guessing that's going to be dropping pretty soon after the Turtles, perhaps after the Halloween stuff as well. Both of those things will be coming to an end sort of early to mid-November. It's the perfect time to drop. Here's what's coming up for the end of the year, end of November, middle of December. Here's some teasers for things. Here's an actual look at the big drop of content. They've teased us. There's like maybe 7 bosses, I think they said, coming at the end of the year. Big drop of content, but we don't know anything much about it. I think teasers are that stuff. So yeah, I think it's really the perfect time to drop in a new type of champion. So let's talk about what I think that could be. To touch on one thing as well, which a bit of background info for Mythicals, right? The key thing about the Mythicals is they swap forms. Now, when I was over, not recording this year's Community Week's game show, but the year before that, in fact, and I was chatting to the developers back then. This is almost 2 years ago now. They were chatting about Mythicals coming to the game was something that they'd wanted to do for a very long time, but that they weren't able to do it until Hydra, not Chimera. Hydra Clan Boss is what let them do it. The technology that they put into the game to enable, I don't know, let's just throw in a team here for a second and not quick battle. That's fine. The technology they had to add to the game for the Hydra heads, because as you guys know, when you kill a Hydra head, it doesn't count as a kill for typical stuff like masteries, lots of champion abilities, etc. There are some rare champions like Wallmaster Atharion from the High Elves that have abilities that count when they decapitate a Hydra head, but it doesn't count as a normal kill. In fact, it's just that the Hydra heads are actually swapping to different forms. And the technology that they used for that, the form swapping, enabled Raid to then develop mythical champions. My trended team clearly not set up right, but oh well, it's fine. It enabled them to yeah, enable them to do mythical champions, something that they wanted to do for a long time. So let's put all this together. Number one, it's been ages since we've had a new type of champion, or not necessarily ages, but it's been a relatively long time. Number two, end of year, perfect time to do it. Number three, well, we kind of know where mythicals came from. They could replicate some of those same conditions here as well. So, what do I think they will do? Well, if Hydra and the form swapping enable them to do a whole bunch of new champions, what does Chimera enable them to do? What does that open up? Just jump in. By the way, fun team. I used Lord Champfort last week. I'm not even kidding, man. Use freaking Lord Champfort. I'm actually using Raka Viletide instead of Elva. Maybe I'll do a video. I'm sure it'll be a different team because it'll be different trials this week, but maybe I'll do a video on it and whatnot. I think the trial system opens up a bunch of stuff that could happen with champions. Like there's so many different ways they could go. In fact, there's potentially multiple types of champions they could build based off of this. The key idea of the trials is, these are unique conditions you have to do in the fight. Indeed, with the trials, they go through an easy, normal, and then hard. So optionally, you could do that with champions, or you could have it be simpler. And specifically, the trials, when you do them, it gives the boss a whole bunch of bonus effects. But they could do more. And I think there's a little bit of precedent for this in champions as well. In fact, here's one really good example. Some of the most popular champions in the game have had trial-esque things in their kit. Do something in the fight, get a big bonus in the fight. Ninja, when fighting bosses, he can get up to 100% extra attack, 25% extra crit damage. Guess what? It's made Ninja ridiculously good for a really long time. I actually have my only empowered champion. In fact, Rotis is another great example. You destroy enemies' max HP, and then you add that HP to him, which makes him much tankier. His damage scales off HP, and he's got really bad base HP. So, yeah, you steal that HP, and great, you're hitting much harder, and then it eventually unlocks the ability to block revive. This got nerfed massively from what it used to be back in the day. But, yeah, there are these champions with these trial-type effects. There's even a couple of mythicals that sort of have weird conditions. So, Siegfried is a very common one that people don't like. I actually really do, but he transforms into his alternate form if and only if everybody else in his team is dead except for him. Then he will automatically transform. You've got no choice. You can't activate it early. Only when everyone else dies, he can do this. So yeah, there's some precedent, some very powerful champions with these sort of trial-esque effects. Here are some of the things I think you could do. So number one, it's something that they've not done much at all recently in the game. We'll go to Fortis, not a popular champion, but you could have a trial or trials with a champion, do some stuff to unlock a secret skill. Secret skills are something that we really haven't seen all that much. For example, here, Fortis, when fears are place a certain number of fears on the enemy, you unlock the secret skill. Maybe just once, maybe permanently for the fight. If it's just once, it's kind of like secret skills as they are. But you could imagine like a poison champion for the Sylvans, who's designed to go alongside Balar the Lost, or designed to go alongside Blade Corster Kaldor, for example. And imagine they've got a poison extension and explosion skill, but to unlock that skill, you have to place a certain number of poisons. So it's like, okay, I build my poison team. I do my poison trials, do a certain damage with poison, place a certain number of poisons. I unlock a special skill that blows up poisons. All right, that's one option that they could do. I think a very interesting option they could do, again, Nice is a champion who also has a pretty unique mythical metamorphosis. But one thing you could do is have the metamorphosis locked behind doing certain trials. This would be different. Nice is a bad example. Let's look at Arbase. But with Arbase, you just have a cooldown on it. And you will typically see her fairly often flipping between the two forms. You could have a different type of mythical that is more like Nice in the sense that he still does have control. But imagine their base form, not all that good. Their second form, though, is crazy. Like, let's say it's a damage dealer. They're like a mediocre damage dealer in Form 1. But if you get like 3 kills with them, they transform into this crazy damage dealer, and it's like a permanent transformation. So sort of like completing, your getting your Rotus fully powered up with his A2. That sort of vibe, being like, okay, if I do these specific things in the battle, I get to transform. I can't transform otherwise. And when I do transform, my champion just becomes way more powerful. Whereas, the mythicals as they are right now, typically their forms are doing somewhat different things, or they interact a little bit and they'll be flipping back and forth. This would be, no, you do it once in the battle and you change from your weak base form to your strong alternate form. Functionally, Nice is quite similar to that, but you do have control. Like, you can manually force him to swap. You can swap back to his base form, etc. I think that could be kind of interesting. Another thing they could do with the trials is you complete the trials and maybe you get a temporary mythical transformation. So again, you don't have control. You can't choose when to flip back and forwards, but maybe you do a bunch of stuff and you did that cool stuff in the fight. You unlock supercharge form, Super Saiyan form for like 2 or 3 turns, and then they swap back. And then you can, do these trials again. So whatever, I don't know. Like, you do loads of poison. Use a poison example. Place enough poisons, do enough damage with poisons, and you unlock the Super Saiyan form. You transform, and then maybe you've got like a big nuke that tallies all the damage you did with poison, and you just, bam, you do it all again in one go. Kaboom! Super cool. I do a couple of cool moves in that form, and then I swap back. And then it's back to the start, and I reset, and so on. That could be kind of interesting. Something they could do as well, which is maybe too crazy. With Chimera, you do have multiple forms of the boss. Mythicals, as they've been so far, only have 2 forms. You've got your base and you've got your alternate form. Something you could do with trials, which could be kind of interesting, is you could have multiple forms that a champion could transform into, depending on what you do with the champion and the team that you build around them. So yeah, like maybe you've got a hybrid champion, crowd control, bit of damage. You can turn them into like this crowd control machine. Maybe you lose the crowd control in a different form. Form 2 is just pure damage. Form 3, I mean, heck, maybe they get a revive or something crazy like that, You could have a bunch of different forms, and the trials that you complete then unlock your metamorph and kind of give you a specific metamorph. Again, like maybe, your whole team is dead. You get to switch into some sort of revive champion. If everyone's alive, you can swap into some sort of crazy damage dealer, that sort of thing. That could be kind of interesting as well. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think about this, but I'm just kind of thinking like there's so much they can do with this whole mythical system, or systems like it using that Chimera thing. Yeah, to really mix it up. So yeah, let me know. Do you have any ideas? What would you like to see in a new champion? I think that stuff would be pretty cool. Some sort of trials, because I just think it's really satisfying when you have these champions that have those in combat. I mean, Crocad's another great example as well, right? They have these in combat things. You complete them, you get a nice bonus. Of course, we could just have like the base stat bonuses like the Chimera itself has as well. That's fine too. But I think going that little bit further and having like a time limited form, having just a way stronger secondary form to a champion you can only get by doing specific things, perhaps even having multiple different options depending on what you do. Maybe they'd save the multiple options for Void Mythicals. That could be a cool thing with Void Mythicals, right? Depending on how you build them in the team, they've got not 1 but 2 or 3 different alternate forms that they can go to, and maybe even transform through multiple forms in a row, perhaps, instead of just going back and forth between base. Maybe you could even have a sequence like Chimera. Have the sequence like, okay, first time you metamorph, you get form 1, then you go back to your base form. Second time you metamorph, you go to form 2. Very like what Chimera does. That could be kind of crazy. You wouldn't see it very often in arena, but when you did, it could be bonkers. And definitely for longer fights, for boss fights, it could be really interesting for some cool strategies. So yeah, those are my ideas. Let me know what you think. I don't think they will do all of these in one go, but I do think that it's likely that they will leverage the trial system from Chimera into some form of champion design. Because I really do think we're due a new type of champion in raid. I think this sort of thing would be perfect. Uh, yeah, let me know what you think. That's all I've got. I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed the video and yeah, start speculating for what's coming at the end of the year. It's about time. It's about time. Guys, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.